Welcome to the Empowered Embodiment Revolution, where women leaders reveal how to liberate yourself from body battles so you can follow your heart, own your power, and shine in the world. I'm Darlene Downing, and I am your host for the event, and it is my pleasure and joy to be here with you today. I have with me the beautiful and inspiring Aleya Dao. Aleya came into my world a few years ago. I've been following her work, and she is a beloved mentor and teacher. And I was sharing with her before we began this interview that I'm a little bit starstruck that I get to have this interview with her. I'm just so thrilled to be sharing her with you today. Aleya is a sound healer and energetic practitioner, a minister in the state of California, a doctor of Oriental medicine in New Mexico, and a licensed acupuncturist in Colorado. She's been an alternative healer for 20 years. Aleya graduated from Lewis and Clark University in Portland, Oregon, and earned her master's degree in Oriental medicine from the Southwest Acupuncture School in Santa Fe, New Mexico. She practiced in Telluride, Colorado. Say it again.
Telluride.
Telluride, thank you, Colorado for 7 years before moving to Santa Barbara, California, where she serves an international clientele as a spiritual guide and sound healer. In 2001, Aleya had an enlightenment experience which enabled her to perceive other realms, hear the angelic beings, and increased her empathic and clairvoyant abilities. Aleya has mastered the ability to help people release the root causes of their suffering. Her tools help people discover how to move forward with greater peace, empowerment, and freedom. Aleya joins us here today to share her love and passion in empowering people and women as we dive more deeply into the topic of shifting your life using your higher self and the higher realms. So welcome, Aleya. I am just so thrilled to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
It's great to be here.
So we've been playing with the topic of empowered embodiment, and it's been fascinating. Each of the speakers have their different point of view or perspective on what empowered embodiment means to them, which is so cool. We all come from different places on the journey, and so I'd love to give you an opportunity to share. How would you define empowered embodiment?
Well, there's several angles of that, and from my perspective and the work that I do within myself and with my clients is that we are souls that are residing in a physical human form. So me, Aleya, I have my very own unique consciousness. And then I'm in my physical body, and I call that our body, deva, nature, spirit. It's like the physical and energetic aspect of our human form. And I perceive that it has actually a different consciousness than me, the soul, riding in the body. And so I, as a soul, am I holding an empowered vibration? Is my body holding an empowered vibration? And then there's a third component, the sacred trinity that creates our reality, and that is our team. Are they holding an empowered stance inside themselves? And they are beings that encircle us in another dimension, a finger breath away. As children, we may have remembered them as our imaginary friends. So we want to get all three of these energies, the soul, the body, and the team, all holding an empowered stance. But I think today we wanted to really focus on how to help our body, devas, the nature spirit of our physical human form, hold a more empowered perspective inside itself as we ride within it.
I love that. And yes, we are focusing more on the physical body, and we are multidimensional beings. And so I love that you brought all those different ways that we experience empowered embodiment, that it is more than just our physical bodies. So that's great that you brought that to the conversation. And I'd love to hear if you're open to sharing your body journey, what it's been like, how you've experienced embodiment in a physical body on this planet, any challenges that you've had, and how that shifted, and what it was that brought that transformation about for you.
Just to fill a small book. I'm just kidding.
Well, whatever you want to share.
So when I had my enlightenment experience in 2001, I was lying on a sound table, and literally within 30 seconds, my entire consciousness shifted. And during that shift, I was very aware that I am a soul that is just light. And I was literally standing above the planet on like a platform of light. And then there was a tunnel that I traveled through and entered in through the back of the neck. So it was literally like seeing my entry all over again. And then as I came into the body and really entered fully, I could feel how I was holding my awareness just on the front of my spine. So nowhere else, not on my arms, my legs, my head, just that river of light fully on the front of the spine. And I could feel my very own unique consciousness, but then I could feel the consciousness that was literally around me, surrounding me, my physical human form. And it was two very different levels of consciousness, different belief systems, attitudes, ways of surviving and thriving. And from that, it took me several years to really get a grasp of like, oh, I'm in a physical human body who has its own unique consciousness. And for about 2 years, maybe three, every morning I woke up and I said, hi, Body Deva, because that was the name that I just sort of intuited. It's a nature spirit. I could say, good morning, Body Deva nature spirit, or good morning, human nature spirit. But after acknowledging my Body Deva's consciousness, I slowly started getting responses from my Body Deva, little one-liners, little acknowledgments. And I remember one day actually walking, I think it'd be 2 or 3 years of acknowledging my Body Deva, not having big conversations, but I was walking on the mesa in Carpinteria, right over the bluffs of the ocean, and it was gorgeous. And I was starting to I was holding my awareness in my river of light, my divine line on the front of my spine. And I was starting to cultivate greater and greater self-love just for my light. And as I was cultivating this vibration of self-love, I heard my Body Deva say, I hate you. Okay, so kind of the first sentence that she speaks to me, and I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
oh. So instead of being reactive or taking it personally, I was like, okay, you hate me. You're really angry. And she said, yes, you don't love me. And I said, well, it's my job to love my river of light, that divine line, and I'm holding space for you to love yourself. And that's your choice. That's your journey, whenever you choose to do that or not. I can't control you. I'm not responsible for it. And so then she said, well, I want you to love me to the degree you love yourself. And I said, well, the only way for you to actually receive the level of love that I have for myself towards you is for you to love yourself to that same degree. So as I continued to walk and just kept holding my awareness in my divine line, cultivating greater degrees of self-love for that river of light. And after about a minute, 2 minutes, I stopped in my tracks and my body just burst into tears. But it was beautiful tears. It was love tears. If it was relief tears, because my body realized that I wasn't going to take responsibility for loving it. I was going to continue to model that energy inside myself. I kept sending the information to my Body Deva, where it has the capacity to receive it, how to love itself. And then in that moment of that burst of tears, my Body Deva started cultivating this vibration of self-love in her divine line, which actually runs through the spine. And then from that place of me holding my love in my line, her holding her love in her divine line, we started to reflect the level of love that we hold for our own selves out onto each other, and moved into a greater, healthier, co-creative way of being with each other and in the body. So that was kind of my first breakthrough with my Body Deva. And then from that, many conversations of like, Body Deva, why are you doing that? And she's like, because I can. Oh, do you feel like I'm responsible for controlling you? Yes. Oh, what would happen if I give you that responsibility back? So it's just a continual process of helping her in her awakening. It's kind of like riding a horse and helping your horse awaken to a greater degree and move into greater degrees of empowerment. And we as souls are literally the rider on the horse, and what we do inside ourselves is what our body will do. So we want to start consciously modeling a healthier energy, and then the Body Deva starts to emulate that.
I love that you say riding a horse. It's such a great analogy. And um, yeah, the whole distinction that, because there's this this whole paradigm of you need to love your body. And when I first heard you say that, I'm like, really, I'm not supposed to love my body? And yet when I, just like you shared, that holding that self-love is then the reflection that the body can take on and practice for herself. Am I getting that
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And it's a lot easier as a soul to just love the light that flows within us. If I say to you, just can you imagine a beautiful river of light flowing within you? Can you love just that? That's pretty easy to get a handle on. Now, if I say to you, can you love the cellulite, the gray hair, the wrinkles, whatever it is, that's a little harder because also we as souls are etheric beings. We're most attached to our own divine light. And so when we start just holding that love in our own divine line and then letting the body love its own self, it moves into greater degrees of self-control, empowerment. The aging process slows down. And actually over the last, is it okay if I just keep streaming?
Yes, please.
Over the last couple of days, there's been a conversation with my body deva about abandonment, which I personally think of as a core issue. It's what puts us into the victim stance. It disempowers us. And so I've been having this conversation with my body deva, and she is saying to me, you're going to leave me. Meaning when I die, right, I'm going to lift my river of light off the front of my spine. She's going to go back to earth, and I'm going to go back to the etheric form. And so the longer we can talk about her feelings of being abandoned and, well, what would happen if you didn't perceive it as abandonment? And how can I have an experience in the physical human form and help my body, Deva, release those fears of abandonment? And so it was at 2 a.m. I woke up and I had this dream and talked to my body, Deva, and she's like, you're going to leave me. And I said, well, what would happen if I just firmly anchor my divine line firmly on the front of the spine? And as soon as I did that, my body deva went, ah. And then I invited the body deva to not leave itself, to move into a greater degree of connection with its own essence. And then the abandonment fears start to go away.
Wow. The whole piece of not abandoning ourselves. I know I can do that energetically when I get focused externally. I abandon my sense of self, and my body, if she's modeling what I'm doing, she would probably feel abandoned as well. So the more I can be in my core column of light and strap in, the more she feels secure as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you did the whole like strapping in, my body went.
Yeah, and there is actually a phenomenon that gurus in India have attained, and it's called the rainbow body. And the soul is literally holding such a frequency of light. The body also is holding a high frequency of light. And when it's time for the soul to leave this world, the soul will assist the body deva in moving into such a high frequency that it just leaves the hair and the nails. And from my perspective, watching energetically what's happening is the soul starts to vibrate at a higher frequency, no longer needs the physical human form. The body deva nature spirit has reached a certain level of self-awareness and enlightenment that it too fully acknowledges and knows that it is a light body. It is a multidimensional being. It has the capacity to express itself in higher dimensions as well. And so it has the capacity to increase the frequency of the cells to literally vibrate out of the physical realm and then vibrate at a higher dimensional realm. So it no longer needs the physical experience. So I think really in truth that's where we're all headed. Now whether it's going to take a few incarnations or this incarnation, 1,000 years from now, 2,000 years from now, whatever it is, the body deva is going through an awakening process. We are riding in it, modeling ideally, hopefully healthy energy, and the body deva is shifting and changing. We're already seeing it with the children that are coming into this world.
It's really exciting. And is that what I've been reading about with moving from a carbon-based body to a crystalline body?
A higher dimensional body. Yeah, literally the physical human form starts to vibrate at a higher frequency. And a lot of people ask me how I handle and how I feel about the destruction that's happening on the planet at an environmental level with all of the toxicity and the environmental hazards that are happening. And typically evolution happens when there's a little pressure applied. So the pressure is high toxic load. A low vibrational being is going to be seriously challenged by that toxicity. A high vibrational being is going to be vibrating at a higher rate that is above the toxic load. So we then start to get the body devas. In order for the bodies to survive on the planet, this is the evolutionary process. They are going to literally force themselves to increase their frequency so that they have the capacity to live in a physically toxic environment, and then eventually they will be expressing themselves in a higher dimensional realm and will not need the physical dimension to express themselves. So what happens to the physical realm? It might be completely and totally toxic, because that is what might have to happen in order to motivate the body, deva, nature, spirit consciousness to attain a higher vibrational way of being.
Wow. I'm just soaking all that in right now. Whew.
Mm-hmm. And now, do I condone the destruction of the physical dimension? No. But at the same time, Earth is very wise, and she has only allowed one floor for fairly unconscious behavior. And there are
Yeah.
many dimensions on this planet, at least 49 other from what I've been informed of. And so she's smart. She's keeping all the second graders, kindergartens, third graders who have not yet mastered self-love in the physical dimension in one realm to be messy.
Yeah.
And we are being messy.
Yes,
But people are messy when they haven't mastered self-love. If I haven't mastered self-love, how can I truly, authentically love planet Earth? If I don't fully, deeply respect my own light, how can I actually respect the planet? I can't, because I don't have it for myself. And so when we see people at war, when we see people destroying the environment, it's just an indicator of their level of consciousness.
right. And part of the intent of this summit was to support women in empowering their bodies and being in empowered embodiment, and also to support the planet. For that very reason, just what you prefaced, that what would be possible if we all shifted into that space of self-love, and we were modeling that energy for our bodies, and we were on this planet from that space, then maybe the level of toxicity that's going on wouldn't have to happen, that we could make other choices.
Well, the body devas would actually start to attain greater love. And so if you literally think of every single body deva on the planet is part of Earth. It is connected to Earth. It has energetic roots to Earth. Every single soul that is riding in a body has a direct conduit, a direct access point to Earth. So if me and my body deva, little river of light, start cultivating greater degrees of self-love, and I relay that to my body deva starts to hold greater degrees of self-love. Every single body deva on the planet starts to feel that and move into greater degrees of self-love. And so if the souls, I sort of have this little higher dimensional Earth campaign happening where I'm talking to Earth and saying, okay, I know you've let a lot of unconscious souls come to your planet and they haven't mastered self-love and self-respect yet, but what would happen if we change the game a little? And so all of these unconscious beings that are doing pretty horrendous things while they're residing in the human body are literally riding in a human body that holds self-love, and the soul wants to lash out and hurt another, and the body deva starts to get nauseous and vomit, and it can't do it because it so loves itself and knows that itself is the other. So as women, we have this amazing access to start shifting the consciousness of the physical human form, but here's the catch. The catch is that if I have 1 ounce, 1% of attachment to changing another being, I am no longer creating a strong, coherent field of transformation. And so I have to hold 100% of my attachment just in my inner river of light, loving that vibration of light. If my body deva gets it, she gets it. If she doesn't, she doesn't. If the rest of the bodies on the planet get it, or they don't, they don't. It doesn't matter. By creating that strong, coherent field of 100% attachment to my own reality, that creates the transformation and the ripple. And that's very hard for those of us that have a slightly external controlling nature. We want people to survive. We want people to change. As mothers, we're totally attached to like the offspring surviving and the planet being a clean, beautiful place. And so it immediately places our attachment external. So that's really the greatest challenge. But if we can hold that 100% attachment internally on our own inner rivers of light, that's when the power and the co-creative service come into play.
Thank you for bringing that to the conversation. And that is a challenge for so many women. We are nurturers, and we're passionate about taking care of the planet and our loved ones. And to not have that attachment is huge. And it is possible, though. And I've been listening, and I've been practicing. I've been listening to your words. And what I love that you share is that it's not that I'm abandoning my loved one, that I'm actually holding that higher resonance and vibration in my body, and that I'm the invitation for someone else to choose it. And it's easier for them to choose it when I'm holding it here and still not being attached to whether they choose it or not.
Absolutely. And you create a safe space. So the moment we're attached to changing somebody or fixing somebody, they no longer feel safe, which means they're not going to be honest with us. They're not going to be open. They're going to feel broken. They're going to feel judged. They're going to feel controlled. I don't think that's love. And so when we think about how much we love people, ask yourself, well, are you behaving, are you in relationship with these people in certain ways just to soothe yourself? And what would happen if we found our soothing deep inside as opposed to placing the control external as a way of soothing? Being attached to people as a way of soothing. And a lot of the times we are in relationship in codependent ways, meaning we take responsibility for other people, we give other people responsibilities, and so in that exchange of responsibility, there we experience connection, but I really think it's dysfunctional connection. It's not that pure essence love connection. And so it's a slow process. I still practice this with my husband, who sits across from me and occasionally eats too fast, and I want to put my control chips on him instead of modeling the energy and holding some space for him to be however he is. And so be gentle with yourself, because it's a process and it's an opportunity for growth and evolution. But again, the more we hold our control where we're actually meant to hold it, in our inner rivers of light, that control actually will then hold us in a connected space. Or hold the control firmly on the front of the spine and use it almost like Velcro or glue to keep yourself attached to the front of your spine in your saddle, and then the aging process and the stress of the body decreases, because if you're riding a horse and you're standing on your stirrups trying not to touch the saddle, the horse is going to be a little stressed out.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's going to think something's wrong, or maybe it's dirty, or what's wrong with me, that they won't just firmly rest on the saddle. And so our journey too, when we're riding in the body, is to surrender and relax. And we're in this earth form. And actually, if we have body pain, or if we have challenge manifesting with our finances, we want to really surrender and get ourselves firmly attached on the front of that saddle to help improve those conditions.
Yes, absolutely. I could just go on and on with this forever. I'm going to allow us to shift the conversation to the topic that you wanted to bring to us. So can you share more about how we can shift our life using our higher self and the higher realms, like how to connect with the energetic aspect of us, our higher self?
Yeah, so most of us are pretty computer savvy these days. We know what a mouse is, or a trackpad, and we know what a hard drive is. And so when I think about when we are using our energy self, it's very similar to our hard drive. And we use our mind, our mouse, to double click on our hard drive. And so the actual request that I figured out over many years of trial and error, I'm all about efficiency and actually feeling a shift within a few seconds. I'm fairly impatient. And mastering patience, but really wanting to figure out the formula that can truly help us shift our reality. And it involves your higher self, your energy self, your hard drive, your body Davis higher self, it's like your body Davis hard drive, and then your team's higher self, their hard drive. that angelic, energetic presence that encircles you. In religion, in Christianity, they called it the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. The Father would be the higher self, the Son would be the body deva, and the Holy Ghost would be the team. I like to be a little bit more direct, and unfortunately, people are not, at least in this country, being hung for being direct. So, whereas 200 years ago or 500 years ago, that was the case. And so, literally, we've had these prayers or these incantations or these chants that have been muted because it wasn't safe to speak the truth and be very direct about the energy and the source. So, this formula is I invite my higher self, my body deva's higher self, my team's higher self to work with the energetic fields and the guides to activate the vibration of the essence of me, my body deva, and team. So you get to fill in whatever you want to. That last part of the protocol, the prayer, was me filling in what would be a nice, safe, gentle request for our higher selves, our body deva's higher selves, and our teams to activate the vibration of our essence at the level of our higher selves and in our divine lines. And then we take the breath. This is where the little magic happens. We let go. The mind is not doing this work. We're just holding this gentle awareness that some higher vibrational aspect of ourselves is doing the work because we made that request. We've double-clicked, and now on our computer screen, there's that little round thing spinning. And we're waiting for that application of the essence to activate in the divine lines at the level of the higher self. When my head shifts, it's like, whoa, I'm starting to feel that energy. Everybody interprets it differently. Some people take a deep breath, some people yawn, some people cry, some people laugh. It can be very, very subtle. You don't even notice it in the beginning. Some people fall asleep in the middle of a protocol or a prayer. It's because all of the energy is being diverted off of the mind into the energetic fields to make that happen. And so that is how you actually shift your life using your higher self. You use that very specific formula. If you only ask for your higher self to do it, or just your body deva, or just your team, you're not going to have the full impact. It might shift just a little bit, or not at all. So getting that sacred trinity of all three of these energies, you, body, and team, to hold a particular vibration, to release a particular vibration, to release ancestral issues, to release self-doubt and activate the vibration of self-confidence. We always, anytime we release something, we then want to make the request of what we would replace it with, and replace it with a higher consciousness, a higher way of being. Our higher selves also have access to sacred geometric shapes, sounds, vibrations, light, consciousness. We can ask the guides to encircle us at the level of our higher selves, to model particular energies inside themselves and to send that energetic information to us so that we have the capacity to receive it in our own unique way, activate it in that higher realm, and then as we shift ourselves in a higher dimension, it reflects into the physical plane. We don't change the surface of the mirror or the reflection on the water by going to the reflection on the water or going to the surface of the mirror. We shift it in the higher realms, and then it reflects. So a lot of the times people come into me and they say, my love life is challenged, my finances are totally dried up, my body is hurting, and they've used every single asset they have in the physical dimension to try to change it, but it doesn't budge. And so my angle is really inviting your higher self, your body deva's higher self and team to change it there and then reflect it to yourself here.
Which is beautiful. That's really where you're maximizing the full potential of what you have access to and available to. It's a lot easier when it's shifted at the higher realm, and then it's reflected down, and not running around trying to find that thing that's going to fix it out.
Right, right.
Wrong.
And then you could do a mudra, you could have a chant, you could have a yoga pose that would support that reflection. But we're not doing the mudra or the chant to change the energy. We're simply making the request that our blueprints change and reflect here. And your team actually is the fastest to shift. So if there's something that you're struggling with or that you want to embody inside yourself, like healthy exercise, you would invite your team to activate the vibration of discipline, motivation, to be literally engaged in healthy exercise as they encircle you, and you can't help not do that. You're going to be positively, empathically impacted by your team that are literally a finger breath away in another dimension.
Would you talk more about the team and how you have utilized your team to support you in your life?
Yes, after that, or rather during that enlightenment experience, my team came fully online and I perceived them the way I perceive you. Um, and I could hear them, I could see a silhouette of them. It was sort of like this constant Bluetooth. And all I had to do was say, hey guys, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? And there would be this full conversation. And so for the first 3 years, I really used my team, and they helped me navigate through those very sensitive, energetic waters of having the shift in awareness. And now when I want to accomplish a particular task in the physical dimension, I will ask my team to embody the vibrations, the consciousness, the behaviors, the belief systems that they can then hold inside themselves and model to me so that I have a positive energetic field of support, and then I move forward into the task. I also use my team to get information, resources, set up grids, set up connections, appropriate relationships, resolve differences, do distant healing. So if somebody emails me and says, Aleya, I really need help with da-da-da, and I'm saying, oh, I'm super busy, who on the team wants to go help? And so I will send them off, on a recon mission. But there was one moment in particular, it was a few years ago, I think 7 years ago, where I was getting my pilot's license to actually fly a physical little plane. And I'm dyslexic, gifted in the higher dimensions. Yeah. And I was having a really hard time learning how to fly a plane because there's so many technical aspects and the right and the left and all of the memorization. And my instructor was slightly frustrated with me in my process. And it was at the end of a long day, tears were involved. I was still determined to do it. And that night, I had my team gather around and I said, you guys got to help me. And they're like, sure, whatever. And so I said, in dream time, when I'm sleeping, I'm going to ask that you all go and become master pilots in whatever dimension, however long it takes you, but you need to come back 8 hours from now before we go back to our next flight lesson. And so I don't know how long it took them, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, whatever. It doesn't matter because we have this spiral time continuum that we can enter back in on. And so they gathered around me the next morning at 8 a.m. and we scootled off to the airport. And I jumped in the plane and I turned her on and began to fly with my flight instructor in the next seat. And after about 20 minutes, she looks over at me and she's like, what happened? You're amazing. Like, who are you? And I said,
overnight, right?
I got some help. And so they were all literally engaging in the behavior, in the actions that I needed to be doing, and I could feel that empathically happening, even though they were existing in another dimension, and landed flawlessly. Every single landing was absolutely perfect, and I wasn't shaking in my boots, and so it was just a huge resource. And taxes are another thing that I don't excel at, and so I have one of my team members go and put on their accounting master hat. And so there are things that our teams can do inside themselves that can then positively impact us. They can't do it for us. We can't do it to them, but we can invite them to hold very particular vibrations inside themselves.
And how great is that? Because then we're surrounded by that vibration, and it's easier for us to get into that flow with whatever it is that we're wanting to create and do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it can help you through your biggest stumbling blocks with diet, food, money, whatever it is. Invite them to work with themselves in their own dimension to attain a certain level of vibration and mastery, skill set, consciousness, belief system that then positively impacts you. But if it's a big thing, get the whole group to do it. Get the 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 that are around you. You don't have to know how many team members. And teams are different than guides. Guides are like archangels and Christ and Buddha. They're not people that hang out around you 24/7. They might hang out around you 24/7 if you're going through a challenging time, but your team are really there day in, day out, from day one till the last day that you journey in this world. People that are highly, highly evolved, ascended masters, I don't see that they have a team, but when we incarnate into this physical experience, 2014, with the level of consciousness that's held on the planet and all of the challenges that we have to deal with, it is nice to have that energetic buffer. So if you're very, 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 very evolved, you might not perceive that you have a team because you don't need that buffer. Your energy fields are so strong. You're so empowered. You never have a moment of challenge. You're constantly in a state of compassion. You're constantly feeling your state of oneness deep in your core. You never feel alone. Then you might not have a team.
Really
You might not
me.
need it.
And oh my
I personally, at this point in the game, I still like having a crew around me.
I'm so glad that you introduced me to the concept of the team. And I have to say, and my team, I apologize, I don't connect with you more consciously than I do. And yet I have called on them. Doing this summit has been a huge new undertaking for me, and technology has been a big piece. And I've had to grow by leaps and bounds. And so I've been asking them in dream time to help me out and figure it all out. And I have to say, it has been way smoother than it probably would have been
Had you been on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for that,
Somebody
Aleya.
in your team is a computer geek. It's great. No offense.
And yeah, doing what I have to do right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I would love to, if we could go back to the part about the body, and riding right in the body. I've been asking all of our speakers to gift the listeners with an empowered embodiment tool, and I'm wondering if there's something that you can bring to the conversation that we can do together right now, that would support everyone listening into creating a more empowered relationship with themselves and then inviting their bodies to do the same.
Definitely. When I kind of tune into that energy, I hear the word commitment. And when we have relationships, jobs, even our creative ventures, our purpose in this world, a lot of the times we'll place our commitment on those things in the outer world. And when we place our commitment externally, we're actually abandoning ourselves. And then our bodies place their commitment externally on others, projects, goals, dreams. And so I'd love to bring in just a gentle protocol meditation for retrieving that commitment, and all those vibrations of connection. A lot of the times we seek connection externally instead of finding our connection internally in our own divine line. And really, in truth, that's the only place we'll experience connection, is on the inhale in the inner river of light. And every breath you take can actually move you into a greater state of divine connection if you use it in that way. Here we go. And we call forth the Ascended Masters to encircle you in this safe and sacred space. We invite your higher self to work with your energetic fields and the guides to energetically locate all of the commitment that you have placed externally on your loved ones, your career, your parents, your goals, your dreams that are external, and using your higher self, working with your energetic fields, lift all of your commitment off of everyone and everything and back to you at the level of your higher self. Those golden chips, energetic nuggets, balls of light, and to commit most to your divine connection, to your light before anything, to give yourself permission to make that primary, so you have the capacity to commit to others, but from a full, inner, committed place. And now we breathe. We let that energetic aspect of us lift all of that commitment off of everyone and everything and back to the divine line. And as that happens, we invite your body, Diva Nature Spirit, to do the same, to use her or his higher self energetic fields to retrieve all of that commitment that it placed on other people, including you, the writer, and to hold its commitment in its own divine line that runs through the spine using the higher self and energetic fields. We invite your team to hold their commitment in their own divine lines as they encircle you, modeling that energy to you and your body, Deva. That all of you are deeply committed to your own divine essence before anything. As you hold that vibration of commitment to your own essence, your own light, we invite your higher self, your body, Deva's higher self, and team to lift all of your reference points for connection off of everyone and everything and back to your own divine lines. And closing your eyes, taking a deep breath in, imagine a river of light flowing within you, up and down the front of your spine, using your inhale to pull yourself into this column, this river of light, and to feel the vibration of connection, commitment, safety, divine self-control, self-worth in this inner river. Exhaling and anchoring yourself into this river of light, this column, this divine line that is where you reside. And inviting your body, Deva, nature spirit, to hold her or his awareness in its own divine line, where there is that divine perfection, divine connection to the Gaia Earth energy. And remembering that it is a divine expression of Earth, and that you, the soul, residing in the physical human form, have the honor of journeying in Earth for a time. Let it be so. Oh. And gently wrapping you in sheets of rainbow light. Let it be so.
Beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you, Aleya.
You're welcome.
You're such a gift.
Thank you. That one made me cry. It was a good one. That's a sweet one.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Thank you so much for saying yes, for being part of this summit, and for sharing your magic and your wisdom and your story. And I know that you've extended this generosity to offer a free gift to all of the listeners, and we're putting a link below this video for anyone who wants to savor and experience more of Aleya. I highly encourage you to go down and click that link. I'm going to let Aleya share with you what she so generously offered.
Anybody listening is more than welcome to receive a free trial week to the Daily Cups of Consciousness. There's 7 meditations that are an introduction to the work. It explores your divine line, your body, Deva, your team, abundance, music. And then you can also, on the link below, go and get a free trial a free trial to the Tall Cups, which is basically an energy balancing session via video or audio.
And I'd love for you to share with everyone what you've been up to, because the Cups of Consciousness has evolved in something new that's coming out. So would you like to share that?
It has. I've been working on a manuscript, and New World Library picked up Cups of Consciousness book, and it will be released in the fall of 2015. So we have a little bit of a wait ahead of us, but feel free to tune in then. And then I do have a new album that just got released by Sounds True called Light Body Sound Healing. And I also have a bunch of other music albums with sound healing off of my website, aleyadao.com.
Oh, and your music is incredible. It is
Thank you.
so beautiful. So, yes, so many ways to dive into what you have to share. You really are a gem. And thank you again so much for being here and for sharing with us today.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to be on the show.
Yeah. And thank you to all the listeners for tuning in, for choosing this time for yourself, for choosing empowered embodiment for you. Stay tuned. There are more videos, more empowered embodiment tools and tips to come. So until then, bye for now. Have a beautiful day. Bye, Leah.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.